What's good, Chaotic Nation? It's your boy, Chaos here, and today I'm continuing ranking my favorite Pokemon of each type. This list comes from my experiences playing through the Pokemon franchise over the past several years. The order for this series is based on my least favorite type to my most favorite type, and I will be covering all of the 18 types. A dual type Pokemon has the possibility to be considered for both types it has, because if a Pokemon is one of my favorites, it should be considered for both lists, as we have already seen in the past couple episodes. With all that being said, sit back and relax as we dive into the Poison type. Number 10, Ivysaur. I'm going to be honest here. I had some issues coming up with a list of 10 Poison types for this list. I was missing a few entries for this list, and Ivysaur just happened to be one of these last additions. I generally prefer Blastoise and the underrated Charizard, but I still really like the Bulbasaur line. I love Ash's Bulbasaur in the anime, where it would take care of the other Pokemon, and even look over Ash's Pokemon at the Pokemon lab that Professor Oak has. Bulbasaur basically was Togepi's dad throughout the series. However, this entry is about Ivysaur. I overall like the design of Ivysaur much better than either of its evolutions. I like how it's a cool looking middle stage evolution, which is one of my favorite things about the middle stage Pokemon, which makes them a little bit more likable in my opinion. They look cool and they're not too edgy, they're not too menacing, they're not too cute, they are literally just right. I also have enjoyed using Ivysaur in Smash, and it has a really nice soothing deep voice. Number 9, Crobat. I know many of you probably think that Crobat is one of, if not your favorite, Poison-type Pokemon. Crobat is a really cool Pokemon. It's fast and it's powerful, which is the reason enough to use it. It always makes me think of X-Wings from Star Wars, which is another one of my favorite franchise. I've also used Crobat several times throughout my journeys. Now, Crobat doesn't rank higher on this list due to having one of my least favorite evolution methods, Friendship. I'm not the biggest fan of Zubat or Golbat either, and that really weighs down my opinion of Crobat. It can be annoying to have to deal with a Golbat until it reaches the point where it finally likes you enough to finally evolve into this awesome, powerful Pokemon. Number 8, Galarian Weezing. I'm Doug Dimdum from the Dimdum Dimdum! I would like to once again stress that a Pokemon can fit onto lists if it has both of its typing, which is why we see Galarian Weezing on both the Fairy type and the Poison type list. This Pokemon instantly became a member of my team when I first saw it revealed for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I think that Galarian Weezing has two really good abilities and has an interesting typing that makes it fun to use. This was also my first knockout method shiny hunt that I did in the Galar region. It fits the factory vibe of some of the cities in Galar, which really makes it cool and really makes it awesome to see that a Pokemon could kind of take inspiration from the landscape of a region. I also enjoy the theory that Galarian Weezing is basically destroying the Cantonian variant because its Pokédex entry claims that it purifies air of toxins, which would be Weezing. Number 7, Toxicroak. I'm a big fan of frogs, and I've always enjoyed the Poison Dart Frog, and this Pokemon is basically a Poison Dart Frog. Poison and Fighting is such a cool and unique typing that I really enjoy. Yes, it has a quad weakness to Psychic, but it's still a really cool type combination. I remember first seeing this as one of Team Galactic Boss's ace Pokemon, and I've liked it ever since. I have yet to use this Pokemon in a playthrough, but I really want to use it, and I really want to shiny hunt it as well, because it has a nice shiny too. I also thought Croagunk was the perfect Pokemon for Brock in the anime, being the ultimate person to stop him from trying to make a fool of himself. Number 6, Gengar. Jirangagar is just a cool Pokemon. I like to say it that way. Sorry, if you don't like Jirangagar, that's just how I say it. As the premier ghost type, I always enjoyed seeing this thing around. Mega Gengar is one of my favorite shinies in the world, one of my top 3 actually. I've used Gengar a few times competitively because of its great move pool, its awesome speed, and special attack stats. I enjoyed using Gengar on my Disguise team for my Zoroark when I made a team based on Zoroark for the Pokemon Showdown Live series that I've done on this channel and on Invisible Corporations. Gengar is a cool and spooky Pokemon, which is the perfect start to a ghost type. It literally fits the mold perfectly. Also, it's kind of funny that it's also a poison type, which makes it not very useful against psychic types, which is kind of why it was supposed to counter. It's kind of funny. It makes me really like it more. Number 5, Scolipede. Scolipede's a pretty interesting Pokemon. I've never really used one outside of the competitive scene, but I've really enjoyed including this thing in many of my battles. Scolipede has a speed boost ability, making it a fast threat just after a turn or two. It is a powerful Pokemon too, making it very viable to use. Bergs always gave me a bit of an issue when I was doing my Unova playthroughs, but regardless, I have enjoyed my battling days with this as a squad member, and it has made its way onto several of my teams. Number 4, Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen deserves the title of Queen. It is such a cool Pokemon to use. I'm not a big fan of the stone evolutions not getting any level up moves, but Nidoqueen makes use of great TM coverage. I've always enjoyed the defensive version of the Nido line with a little bit less offense prowess. I'm a big fan of using the Nidos in any Kanto playthrough because they have really great utility. They're just the best ground type Pokemon in Kanto, and their obtainability early on really makes me enjoy using them. Nidoqueen has some really cool sprites also throughout the generations, which makes me like it a little bit more, especially the baby Nidoqueen in the anime. I find it funny that it also can't breed, speaking because it's the female variant of its evolutionary line and it's a queen, and you think of queens in like IRL and they usually are like for like the ants or like the breeding thing. It's weird that they can't breed. Number 3, Nidoking. Yeah, I prefer Nidoking to Nidoqueen. A lot of the reason I like Nidoqueen also applies to Nidoking. It has a great move pool with TM coverage. It's really early on in most of the games I've used it in. However, I've always preferred the damage output that Nidoking has to the defenses of Nidoqueen. I think that Nidoking has a way better shiny, and I really think it's more viable than Nidoqueen. Nidoking has been on many of my teams throughout my Kanto journeys. It was my way to beat Brock since I usually chose Charmander, so it really helped me out in those situations. The move pool and the good stats of Nidoqueen have always made me enjoy using this Pokemon. It also has the sheer force ability to power through its opponents and has utility for literally every situation, making it a fun Pokemon to sweep through teams and also to try to counter because you never know what this thing could have. Number 2, Vileplume. I am a big fan of the Oddish line. Oddish was my first ever shiny Pokemon, and I have cherished the Pokemon and its evolutions ever since. Vileplume became a favorite for me once I used it to play through Pokemon Sword and Shield. The move pool makes the Pokemon so much fun to use, and you have the possibility to outspeed with its ability Chlorophyll when the sun is up. Vileplume also has the Stench and the Stent in VGC, being a competitive Pokemon in Generation 8, which was really weird because you wouldn't think a grass poison type would be good in VGC, okay, except for Moongus, but there's a reason Moongus is good. But it was really cool to see Vileplume get a chance to be in VGC for a little bit. Vileplume was my MVP in my Sword Wonderlock, which made me really appreciate it. I like how the Dex entries say it's a pleasing aroma to its trainers, and I think that would be really cool to have one in real life to match the aromas that I like. I also really enjoy the flower on its head. It looks really cool, and it's kind of like a sombrero looking thing. It's basically a hat. It's great. And finally, number 1, Swalot. Swalot was my first poison type I remember using. I had one in my first playthrough of Pokemon Emerald, and I absolutely enjoyed the bulk of this Pokemon. Poison was a type that I never really saw a use for. I had used Nidoking and Nidoqueen in the past in Fire Red, but I never used a poison type move because there really wasn't a good one. But Swalot was a lovable blob that made me appreciate them. I've also had a Swalot in a few of my recent series that you may have seen, and I have enjoyed using it in a variety of ways to help me get through the game, depending on if it has a random move pool, or cool abilities, or if it's just a defensive blob that tanks hits. It's awesome. It's extremely derpy, but that makes me like it even more. I have a thing for derpy Pokemon, and Swalot fits that bill. I've really enjoyed using this thing over the past few years, and it's very nostalgic of my first playthrough through Hoenn, and honestly, it's a staple team member when I play through Emerald when I can. So I love using Swalot over and over again. It's definitely takes the top spot of my favorite poison type. Well, that wraps up this poison type list. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and let me know what your favorite Pokemon of the Poison type is in the comment section down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more content from me, and make sure you check out the description below for more ways to stay connected on Twitter, Twitch, and Discord. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'm Chaos signing off. Stay safe, and as always, burn it up.